Welcome back to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. If you were just tuning in, we just finished talking about CeeDee Lamb's future with the Cowboys. Tonk on YouTube says Lamb without the Cowboys is bad news for them boys. And you're probably right, to be honest, but like I was saying before, I do think he's the easiest out of the three that they need to pay, being Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons to replace. So if you're going to have to pick one, and it's a hard decision, in a perfect world, if you're the Cowboys, you sign all of them. CeeDee Lamb is the guy that you let walk, if I'm being honest. In this segment, though, we're going to continue talking about some wide receiver news around the NFL. The guy who has been in the spotlight for the entirety of the NFL offseason, Brandon Aiyuk, is back once again. We have some breaking news surrounding him and an update with his trade situation with the 49ers. We'll get into that, as well as some other updates with guys like Juju Smith-Schuster getting cut from the Patriots, and other news for wide receivers around the league. But before we get into that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net, or if you are on YouTube, you can use the super chat button to leave a tip or donation with a message in it. That message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go and throw that in the comments, throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Friday afternoon. But like I was saying, we are going to continue our coverage of the NFL here in just a second, talking about Brandon Aiyuk. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys here for a second, it's getting a little frustrating. I don't know about you. I just kind of want this situation to get figured out, because this situation with Brandon Aiyuk has been flip-flopping over and over and over again the entire offseason. If we're going to put together a timeline for it here, it starts off with Brandon Aiyuk asking for a contract, right? 49ers say sure. He gets unhappy. Contract doesn't seem like it's going to happen. He asks for a trade. Couple months later, he says, you know what? I'm just going to play this season for the 49ers. Then about a week later, it comes out he's posting stuff saying, hey, they don't want me. They're not going to pay me on a FaceTime video call with Commanders rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, right? That blows up. His whole thing blows back up again. He seems to be back in trade discussions, right? And then he dies down. He shows up to training camp. And then he says, actually, I'm formally requesting a trade. Now I'm formally requesting a trade. Now, this has been back and forth, flip-flop, forever. It seems kind of silent, and then all of a sudden there's rumblings. As of, I believe over the weekend, rumblings were that the 49ers had deals in place with both the Patriots and the Browns, and the only thing left was for CeeDee Lamb to pick the place that he goes to. He can get that extension. A couple days later, he says, no, I don't want to go to the Patriots, and the Patriots are out of the race. The Patriots reportedly were offering him top 5 wide receiver money. That would be over $30 million a year for a guy in Brandon Aiyuk that, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I do not believe he is worth that much money. But the Patriots were willing to give it to him. He says, no, I don't want to go to New England. The Steelers pop into the conversation. Reports are he really wants to play for the Steelers. The Browns are out of conversation. And now today, just about, I'd say maybe just under an hour ago, news breaks that Brandon Aiyuk is having discussions, had a sit down with Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers, and now he's working for a contract extension with the 49ers. No longer in discussions for trades. This is maybe the most frustrating story that I have had to cover ever here with the NFL offseason. Like, I understand things change, situations change, but Brandon Aiyuk, as good as he is, and I'm not going to sit here and say he's bad, because he's a good receiver. He's a guy that I think deserves to be paid, but he hasn't done it on a team where he's getting double covered, where he's getting the best corner on him at all times, right? This is a guy that hasn't had to face his best competition, because the 49ers, aside from him, have, Christian McCaffrey, they have Deebo Samuel, they have George Kittle, they have a super team of weapons there. So he hasn't been outside of that, and he's really only had one breakout year. Now, injuries play a part in that, quarterback play plays a part in that, I understand all of that. But the 49ers, I wish they would figure this out, honestly. Do I think he's going anywhere? Again, I don't. I was semi-convinced he was going somewhere when deals were in place. I was convinced he was going somewhere when deals were in place. The team is usually the hardest part. And from what it sounded like, if he wanted out of the 49ers, it sounded like he didn't care about winning. Because if you care about winning, you stay with the 49ers for one more season and then you get paid in the offseason, right? That's what happens because he is going to get paid if he hits the open market. He's going to get paid. But if he stays with the 49ers, he legitimately you can't go to a situation that's better for him if he wants to win. This is strictly about money. And the Patriots offer him top 5 and he says no. So that means this isn't strictly about money. He wants to win too, or he wants something else. We don't really know because it's been shrouded in mystery. There's been report after report after report of what he's getting and what, you know, what he wants. This is just a mess of a situation. But now he reportedly is staying with the 49ers, or at least momentum is working towards him getting a new contract with the 49ers, which, if I had to guess, is what he wanted the whole time. Again, we just kind of talked about this with CeeDee Lamb. We talked about how everything is posturing, especially in contracts. Everything is trying to get an upper leg in these negotiations. And this has been one incredible negotiation. Especially if Brandon Aiyuk ends up getting what he wants from the 49ers, this is a masterclass in negotiations because I have no idea how he pulled this off if this deal goes through. And it's crazy to watch. It's fun, it's interesting to watch, but it is legitimately insane to watch. Other wide receiver news around the NFL, namely with the Patriots we were just talking about. When they dropped out, they said they were focusing more on their rookie wide receivers, their younger guys, and that seems to hold true. As of today, they cut Juju Smith-Schuster, a guy who is a bigger name than he is a player. He struggled in New England, which every wide receiver struggled in New England. It's not a Juju Smith-Schuster team. My original thought when I heard that he was cut is, Juju Smith-Schuster, you are now a 49er. But with this new update that Brandon Aiyuk might be staying with the 49ers, I have no idea what is going on there, right? Juju Smith-Schuster fits the system with the 49ers as a guy that, is a great, he has the potential. We've seen him be a great player, especially when surrounded by other great weapons. Check off those boxes with the 49ers. He also is a guy that isn't afraid to go and get dirty and make those blocks. Check off the box for the 49ers. That's something that they love with their wide receivers. It's something that they instill in their wide receivers. It's one of those things that they like to talk about a lot on those broadcasts. The competition between Debo and Brandon Aiyuk and all these guys, blocking points. They have their competitions there. It's a big thing. It's a big thing in the 49er culture to get wide receivers that are willing to do that. But now with Brandon Aiyuk potentially still being there, that takes it off the table. Where Juju Smith-Schuster will end up, honestly, he's not going to be a wide receiver 1. It's not going to matter too much. The Patriots are on their youth movement. They are focusing more on guys like Jalen Polk, Kendrick Bourne, some of their younger guys, as they try to establish Drake May for this season. We saw in preseason a little bit of what the offense might look like. Again, we just saw a couple of games. The Patriots were playing the Panthers, and the Panthers are bad. That's not something new. That's one of the big takeaways that I took from that game. Obviously, they weren't playing all of their starters, so that's part of it as well. But they were really bad, and they need to be better than that. This feels like a season where Bryce Young and the Panthers, especially for Bryce Young, it feels like a make it or break it situation for him. And if that offensive line is the way it's going to be a break it season, maybe in more ways than one for Bryce Young. The other game, though, the Lions took on the Giants. The Giants took care of business there. My big takeaway from that is, it's not going to be a big thing, but Tommy DeVito is good at football. Like, not even joking. The Giants brought in Drew Lock. He got hurt. in that first quarter against the Lions. He took a sack. It's a bad bone contusion is what it's being reported as. The Giants said they look into getting a new quarterback while he's hurt. But Drew Lock was supposed to maybe even compete for a starting spot with the New York Giants, right? I think he might have to compete for a backup spot. Tommy DeVito, for everything that he is, he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. He's not elite at many things, but what he is really good at is accuracy. If you go and look at some of the analytics, the analytics from last year, he was the most accurate quarterback in the entire NFL from all of last season. And he showed that off again. Now, he only threw for 92 yards, so it's not something insane. And again, it is the preseason. But when comparing him against that preseason Lions defense to a quarter of Drew Lock, looking at that preseason Lions defense, it was night and day. The offense ran smoother under Tommy DeVito. He didn't throw a bad interception into triple coverage or force any balls, and he threw it to the guy that was open. There were a lot of times where Drew Lock was missing open targets down the field. Malik Neighbors was open on one of them early in the first quarter, and they didn't. Excuse me. Drew Lock did not find him there. So there's, a lot of things that could have gone better for that. But that's my big takeaway. I think Tommy DeVito should be the backup in New York, potentially even the starter. Now I'm not ready to go that far yet because I think what Daniel Jones offers with his legs might push him over the top, but not a great quarterback situation with the Giants, either way you slice it. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to move on and talk a little bit about the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are on a pretty good trail. They have their rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback now, Anthony Richardson. He's back. He's healthy. We'll talk about their offseason, give them a grade, see what record we will give them with Anthony Richardson back at the helm and hopefully healthy all season long. Stick around for that. We'll be right back here on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.